Hello, so it's time to take a look at the Battlefield 1 multiplayer and give you my thoughts on it. So to tell you where I am in the game, I'm rank 28 and I've got rank 3 or 4 in all the classes. So I have the majority of the unlocks. The only guns I don't have are the rank 10 guns, and of those only the Hellriegel 1915 is actually any better than what you can get once you've got the rank 3 unlocks. So in terms of the unlocks, I've got pretty much access to all the weapons and all the gadgets that you need to assess what the balance is like of the guns and what the balance of the classes is like. So, Battlefield 1, is it a good game? Well, in terms of its graphics and its sounds, it's an amazing game. If you compare it to Battlefield 4, it's a quantum leap forward, and not really at that much of a performance cost. If I stick Battlefield 4 on ultra settings, then I get about 130 frames per second while recording. If I stick Battlefield 1 on ultra settings, then I get about 90 to 100 frames while recording. It's not as good as the beta was, but I think that was simply because it was optimised for that one single map. I actually got better frame rates on the beta than I did in Battlefield 4. But like I say, that was a specific build for that map, so overall it's still pretty impressive getting 100 frames per second on ultra settings while recording on a 980 Ti. Now, like in Battlefield 4, you can tweak the settings to get that frame rate up even higher, and I'll do a video on that coming up shortly and comparing the frame rate of Battlefield 4 to Battlefield 1. But Battlefield 1, in terms of its graphics, it looks amazing and it performs really well. The sound design is also really good. All the Battlefield games have had really good sounds, and Battlefield 1 is up there with the best of them. So you can't fault Battlefield 1 on either the graphics or the sound. So the next thing to look at for a Battlefield game is the gunplay. And again, in Battlefield 1, it's pretty good. I think it's slightly more simplistic than Battlefield 4 because of the lack of side-to-side recoil. So all the recoil is balanced. You don't get guns that drift to the right or drift to the left unless you use the weird setting in the guns that lets you change that. So the gun mechanics are fine. The problem is the number of guns we actually have. So they've artificially created more guns by effectively making attachments a new gun in Battlefield 1. We really have 2 SMGs for the assault class until you get to rank 10 and unlock the third, but 2 SMGs with slight variations, which effectively in Battlefield 4 would have been 2 guns with some attachments. Same with the shotguns for the assault class, it's still really just 2 guns and some attachments. And all the classes are the same. There's very few guns and there's not an awful lot of difference in between them. With the sniper rifles, you're looking at a difference of slight bolt action speeds and slight differences in where the sweet spot is for the body shots, but overall there's not a lot of difference. The Automatico and the MP18 aren't vastly different. One's slightly faster than the other, but it's a bit less accurate. It's not inspiring and everybody looks the same when you come across them. In Battlefield 4, because there were so many guns and they all looked different, the soldiers did look a bit different and you could tell what kind of gun somebody was using. But you can't do that in Battlefield 1. If you see somebody using an MP18, you have no idea if it's the hip fire version, the aimed fire version, or if it's the burst fire version. The silhouette of the soldier looks the same in all the cases, and it's not like you can zoom in and study the minute differences of their guns. But the aesthetics of the soldier model is minor in comparison to just the lack of choice it feels like you have in guns. And because there's a lack of choice of guns, there's no real sense of achievement in earning them. Getting to rank 3 in a class is really easy, and like I say, for everything but the assault class you then have access to the best guns. You really only have to buy 3 guns, you have the best in the classes, and you can make do with the MP18 in the assault class. And when it comes to the classes, DICE seem to have got the class balance pretty much right. Yes, you can still get a medic train running like you get an assault train in Battlefield 4, so you can have a group of medics running around or reviving each other. but it's not as effective and not as powerful as it was in the old Battlefield 4 days. God, that sounds really weird saying the old Battlefield 4 days. There are a couple of things in the classes that really do need changing though. The first of those is the airburst mortar. The recharge time on that is incredibly quick. To be honest, I'd have it so that you couldn't recharge it. Once you'd used it, that was it. But for some reason it takes like 30 seconds before it's up and running again. That needs to change. But I think the biggest problem with the class balance is the sniper rifles. They are just way too accurate. And I mean accurate when you're moving, accurate when you're snap firing. Some of them have got accurate hip fire for some reason. And they're also just shooting laser beams. There's almost no bullet drop. The bullet speed is really good. It's kind of sniping on easy mode. Even while you're supposedly suppressed, you can snipe with 100% accuracy, it seems. I don't know what they were thinking when they decided this, but sniping is far too easy. The sniper rifles are far too good. They need a nerf. But the majority of gameplay problems with Battlefield 1 are pretty minor. Overall, it looks great, it sounds great, it plays great, it's got great modes, great maps. It's just fun to play. There's just an overall lack of a sense of achievement in the long-term life of this game. The medal system is just a ball ache because of the way they've organised it, where you have to do everything in order and you can only do one medal at once and you can only pick one medal out of that weekly rotation, and when you do complete a medal all you get is a dog tag and some XP. And the weapon skins, which is something you could get a sense of achievement from earning, are just random drops from weapon crates, and the weapon crates seem to be dished out randomly as well. Compare that to Battlefield 4, where you'd got much more gun choice and you had to earn those guns by levelling up the class, then you had to earn the attachments for those guns, then you had the assignments which got you some cool extra guns and some cool camos and cool dog tags. Battlefield 1 just lacks a sense of achievement in comparison. And that's my biggest disappointment in the game, because the game modes are strong, the maps are strong. Okay, there's one which is Suez, which I think is really poorly designed and is really easy to get spawn camped on, but a few tweaks to that and that could be a good map. But other than that, the maps are great. Conquest is a bit strange with the new scoring system, but it's not fundamentally broken. It's just a bit odd in comparison to the old version of Conquest. The lack of meaningful consequences for dying still irks me a bit. But Operations is fun. It's really long at times, but if you're in the mood for having what is essentially a campaign, then Operations is pretty good. Once you've got the head round how it works, it's a good system. Pigeon, that seems to work pretty well. Rush is okay, it's not great, but it's certainly better than the Battlefield 4 version of Rush. So you got good maps, good game modes, good gun mechanics. It just gets let down a bit by having a lack of depth in the actual progression system, and it wouldn't take much to improve it. If you had a medal for each gun, and when you completed that medal you got a unique weapon skin, or medals that gave you a slightly different uniform choice, things like that would have just made the game a bit more interesting and would give you something to work towards. It's not something that's going to change the game, it's just something that makes you feel like you're accomplishing something. You know, maybe you could have a system where you can earn battle packs if you complete all 5 medals within the week. It seems like they've become scared of people having to achieve things to unlock stuff. Instead, we'll just give everything away and then you don't have to upset anybody. But overall, I am really enjoying playing Battlefield 1. Once you get into a round and start playing the game, it's pretty much spot on. Like I say, there's a few little niggles, but it's nothing major. But I just can't see what's going to keep people playing this game in a year's time. When you start getting bored of it, you can't just get a different gun and have a completely different playstyle like you could in Battlefield 4. If you look at the assault class in Battlefield 4, you could use the AEK, which has a completely different feel to the Scar H, which is completely different to the 416, which is completely different to the AN94. It's all the same class, but the gun provides a lot of variation. Battlefield 1, for that variation, you've really got to change class. So I'm hoping DICE have some long-term objectives for Battlefield 1 and already have a plan that just doesn't include adding a few more guns and adding a few more maps, because I don't think that is going to be enough. It could end up like Star Wars Battlefront, where I only ever go back and play it when they release a new DLC. And that's a real shame, because Battlefield 1 deserves better than that. They did hamstring themselves by setting it in World War I, but they've done a pretty good job of making the gameplay interesting. I just hope they have a plan of adding content and adding that sense of achievement that would keep it interesting in the long term. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the Battlefield 1 multiplayer. It's a really good Battlefield game, it's just missing those little extra touches. Thanks for watching.